And you're right on time for K24's Nudon. My name is Joel Chacha. Even as today, we focus on the Nane demos. That is basically a Swahili word to mean 8th of August. Today, it is a final attempt to remove President William Ruto from office. Also, it is a litmus test for the bromance between Raila Odinga and President William Ruto. Government of National Unity will face its first fresh round of demos by the Gen Zs who are demanding accountability and good governance. This even as the cabinet has been rubber-stamped. And this morning, they will be sworn in at State House Nairobi at the break of dawn. But already, President William Ruto has gazetted them. 19 out of 20 were approved by the National Assembly. The report by the Appointments Committee was adopted as it was, where Stella Langat Soy was dropped as the Gender CS nominee on the grounds that she fails to understand or demonstrate a better understanding of the docket. However, Kenyans still feel Parliament has rubber-stamped. These, according to Kimani Ichung'wah, more than 650 memoranda that were submitted failed to meet the requirements of the Appointments Act. And so, also that appears to fuel the Gen Z demos that will be staged today. Already, several PSVs are being blocked by the police from accessing the CBD, that is Nairobi's CBD, on fears, of course, that perhaps these Gen Zs have already boarded the PSVs to access the CBD. Today, Parliament will be sitting its final day, even as it proceeds on a 2-month recess. That will form a better part of conversation this morning, even as eyebrows are raised on why change the Kenyan currency now. There are new notes in town. The CBK Governor Kamau Thuge argues that the notes we have are old, and so there is need to at least add some features to the new notes that are being printed in Germany. In studio, I'll be joined by Jackson Kihara. He is the interdicted prisons warden protester. Remember the cop that carried a placard saying Zakayo Ajuke. He will be right here in studio with Vivian Tar, communication and public affairs expert, and as well Dr. Isaac Hassan, who is a governance expert. That is between 6 a.m. now and 8 a.m. But remember, we are bringing you wall-to-wall coverage as far as these demos are concerned right here on K24. And so from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I'll be having yet another set of guests right here in studio. That is the President, Kenyatta University, Bonaya Rover, Ikenye Uno, a youth leader, and as well Steve Mbogo, who is the council member of the Law Society of Kenya. Keep the conversation going via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on our SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. I'll be sampling some of your feedback as we focus today on the Nane demos. But as usual, before getting to the newspaper review, we'll begin with these stories. That is from 6:30 to 8:30. We'll be rather to 7 a.m. We'll be reviewing what's in our dailies this morning that have actually touched on the 19 approved CS nominees. But before that, the National Assembly has approved 19 out of 20 cabinet nominees, adopting the report by the Appointments Committee that grilled them for 4 days. It's now official that the former top 4 ODM officials are in President William Ruto's cabinet, which now forces a by-election in Ugunja constituency to replace Opio Wandai, and the IBC picking another member of the ODM list as a nominated member of parliament. President William Ruto is expected to swear his new cabinet this morning at 9 a.m. at State House, Nairobi.
I, Do swear.
Zoe Langat, who was nominated by President William Ruto to fill the gender docket as the cabinet secretary, has been rejected by the National Assembly, which adopted the Appointments Committee report.
As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it.
According to the report, she failed to demonstrate adequate knowledge of the ministry.
The lady has been a director at the Interior State Department, and the fact that maybe during that day she didn't wake up properly so that she can be able to answer the questions does not necessitate us negating.
Because she's from Rift Valley, then it has to be replaced by Rift Valley. I feel that it has to be replaced by the best person possible for the job.
The report tabled by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, however, cleared the remaining 19, who include Professor Kindiki Kithure, who has been appointed as Cabinet Secretary for Interior, while Dr. Deborah Baraza will take the role of the Cabinet Secretary for Health. Alice Wahoma is set to oversee the Lands Ministry, and Julius Migos has been nominated for Education. The defense docket will be handled by Soipan Tuya, and Andrew Muhia is slated to lead the agriculture sector. Other notable appointments include Eden Duale as Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Eric Murithi Muga for Water, and Davis Chichil for Roads. The list continues with Margaret Nyambura as CS for ICT, John Mbadi for Treasury, Salim Vuria for Trade, Rebecca Miano for Tourism, and Opeo Wandai for Energy. Kipchumba Murkomen is assigned to Youth Affairs, Hassan Joho to Mining, Alfred Mutua to Labor and Social Protection, Wycliffe Oparanya to Cooperatives, and Justin Muturi to Public Service.
We know how they lived and how they have been living. If tomorrow they begin to live certain life which we don't understand, then we will have to question them.
Avoid opulence as much as possible, because that is one of the issues that the Gen Z raised, and we don't want to see it going forward.
Gen Z were asking for good governance. They're asking for competencies. They're asking for people and value.
Opio Wandai and John Mbadi, who gave their farewell speeches, promised to dance and sing the bottom-up chorus, which they vehemently opposed.
As I transit to the executive, my doors shall remain open. And we shall continue to engage one another as we together build this country and protect it from any attempts to sabotage it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's a very emotional moment. Imagine a place you have called home for 17 years, continuously. Now you are leaving to another uncharted waters. May I pray that God bless Kenya.
It now means the post-body IBC will prepare to conduct a by-election in Ugunja constituency to replace Wandai, while appointing a nominated MP from the list submitted by ODM before the 2022 general election. President William Ruto will swear in his new cabinet short of 3 tomorrow morning at State House, Nairobi. Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi. The swearing in of the new cabinet is this morning at 9 a.m. at State House, Nairobi. We'll be bringing you the live update from State House. Meanwhile, the Gen Z are gearing up for yet another round of protests this morning. In their quest for reforms in the country, they are now calling on Kenyans to turn up in large numbers for the protest dubbed Nane Nane March, even as they warned the goons against infiltrating their peaceful protest with the intention to cause chaos and then blame it on them. Busara Naman tells us more.
Despite calls from leaders across the country urging Gen Zs to consider calling off Thursday's anti-government protests, the youth have vowed to continue with the protests.
Hizi taxes zako zimetoka wapi? Unajali mwananchi wa kawaida kweli? Na ndio tunatoka nje tukuambia hii government ya Ruto si ya mwananchi wa kawaida, ni ya mabilionaires. Na tutokeni kama tumekasirika. Wakituua tutaendelea na struggle.
Reiterating that their protests will be peaceful, the youth cautioned the police against harassment and brutality.
And today we are saying that Nane Nane tomorrow is going to be covered within the legal constitution. And we are hoping that the police will also be legal with us in the streets.
If we see an identified man in civilian clothing, riding in government vehicles that have obfuscated policies, we shall treat them as robbers.
Following the police warning that the Nane Nane march could be infiltrated by goons threatening the country's security, they have urged their fellow youths to reject being used by politicians to cause chaos.
Kesho ni siku ya kuchukua nchi yetu. Na tunasema ya kwamba tunajua vijana wetu wa ghetto wamekuwa kitumika kama goons. Kesho ni siku ya kukataa na kusema ya kwamba hizo pesa wamekuwa wakiiba, anakuja kutulipa nazo, twende tuibia Wakenya wenzetu. Tumekataa hiyo jinga ya tumekataa.
Some of the demands they are calling for include good governance, accountability, reduced taxes, end of nepotism, IEBC reconstitution, affordable education system and affordable health insurance, among other fresh demands. They also maintain that leaders unable to fulfill their mandate should step aside for the sake of a better future for the country.
People need accountability, respect and transparency in governance. These are very rational demands. The Kenyan people are crying loudly that they want a sovereign country not to be ruled by dogs of great powers. They are crying for a pro-people regime.
Elsewhere, the League of Young Civic Educators has urged all young people to register as voters as they prepare for the 2027 general election to ensure that they can be able to vote in the right leaders.
We need to have a force at the moment with the young people so that by 2027 we have a clear presidential candidate who also can be a young leader, so that we really have the leadership that we want as the Kenyan people and also as the young people.
Busara Naman, K24 TV.
Meanwhile, President William Ruto has sounded a warning to participants of the planned Nane Nane protest, calling on Kenyans to embrace peace and stability. Speaking while on a development tour in Embu County, the head of state called on Kenyans not to engage in protests that could plunge the country into chaos. Brian Amwai reports.
As the nation's youngest population continues to plan the Nane Nane protest, President William Ruto has now come out to castigate the planned demos on Thursday, sounding a warning to participants. The head of state now says the protests in the past few weeks have been destructive, calling on Kenyans not to engage in the protests that seek to destabilize the country.
Sisi ni nchi ambayo tunaamini kwa amani. Hatutaki fujo katika taifa letu la Kenya. Hatutaki maandamano ambayo inaleta maafa, ambayo inaleta kuharibifu wa mali, ambayo watu wanapoteza mali yao. Tunataka amani. Watu wa Embu mnasema tunataka amani ama mnataka fujo iendelee? Mnataka amani? Ebu ni wale wala anasema tunataka amani katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Kenya's Generation Zoomers have vowed to continue with their push for good governance and accountability in the country. The plan is to shut down the country tomorrow in the protest dubbed Nane Nane. The protesters now want the dissolution of government and the resignation of President William Ruto. The president also defended the move to have the opposition in his cabinet, saying the government of national unity seeks to unite the entire country. Ruto added that the responsibility of advancing the nation now lies with every member of his cabinet as he seeks to share the tag Zakayo with his latest edition.
Mimi juzi nimeunda serikali ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote, kwa sababu sitaki fitina tena na Mkenya yeyote. Hata kama ni kulipa madeni tulipe pamoja, kama ni kutafuta ushuru tutafute pamoja. Mimi peke yangu nisiitwe Zakayo, sisi wote tupange mambo ya kutafuta ushuru ya Kenya. Kwani pesa mimi natafuta ya Kenya inaenda kwa akaunti yangu? Si inaenda kwa akaunti yetu sisi wote? Kwa hivyo kila mtu sasa akuje akuwe Zakayo, tutafute hiyo ushuru pamoja. Ama mnasema tufanye namna gani? Si ndio? Nimesema wacha niunde serikali ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote. Watu wa Embu mnakubaliana na mimi nilete Wakenya wote pamoja?
Siasa mzuri ni hii siasa ya maendeleo. Kwa sababu nikiuliza hawa wananchi, Mwai Kibaki president wetu alisema nini mwaka wa 2007? Hakuna anakumbuka, lakini kazi tunaikumbuka. Kwa hivyo mimi nauliza sisi wote viongozi, maneno ni soko, maneno ni barabara, bei ya kahawa, bei ya maziwa, maneno ya kupeleka wadosi wetu mbele, na wadosi ni nyinyi ambao mumetupea kazi.
Ruto is on a 3-day development tour of the Mount Kenya region, accompanied by his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, amid claims that a rift is growing between the two.
Sisi tumefika hapa kumsindikisha kiongozi wetu kwa ziara ya maendeleo. Kwa sababu mwaka 2 iliyopita tulifika hapa kuomba kura. Nyinyi mkatuombea, mkakuwa wangana, mkatupatia kura. Tumekuja kusema asanti na juu yake kurudisha mkono.
The move to have the two on the development tour is seen as an attempt by the executive to show a united front, especially for the Mount Kenya electorate, which played a huge role in the propelling the Kenya Kwanza government to power. Brian Amuai, K24, Nairobi.
Still on the same breath, Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli has warned that goons may infiltrate today's anti-government demonstrations dubbed 99 March. With the Gen Z protesters insisting that today's demos are still on, Masengeli urged them not to invade public installations and protected areas. He further noted that police will be deployed adequately, calling on protesters to conduct themselves in a peaceful manner.
Already, our intelligence report indicated that there are security threats to the country, with criminal planning to infiltrate tomorrow's demonstration and commit further crimes. In anticipation, we have ensured adequate deployment of security personnel. However, members of public are advised to take extra caution while in crowded areas that are likely to turn riotous. The initial demonstrations that were held by youths, Gen Z, in June were peaceful, but the subsequent protests morphed into riots with looters destroying and stealing property. Many police officers and civilians have equally been left either injured or dead. I call upon all officers to remain focused on discharging their constitutional mandate, which is to protect life and property, maintain law and order, and they should do so without any fear or favor.
Now, it's going to be hard for protesters going forward following the tabling of the Assembly and Demonstrations Bill in the National Assembly. The bill seeks to provide a legal framework for the regulation and assemblies and demonstrations as outlined in the Article 37 of the Constitution. As Bentura Komboka now reports, protesters will going forward be, among others, required to make an application to the police to hold demonstrations.
The Assembly Demonstration Bill that seeks to provide a legal framework for the regulation of assemblies and demonstrations has undergone its first reading in Parliament. The bill, according to legal minds, will give the government powers to impose unnecessary restrictions on Kenyans exercising their democratic rights.
For them to be okay means that if they feel that they do not want to see assemblies or demonstrations, they will never okay, and they'll always give flimsy reasons.
Introduced by Mbere North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruto, it will also see police, if it sails through, given powers to impose conditions on carrying out demos, including preventing protests from taking place in different locations apart from specified routes.
Talks about the regulating officer may in writing specify conditions for holding of assembly or demonstrations. So that again will bring an issue, because now it means, one, you seek approval instead of giving a notice as to how things are right now. They want to seek approval. They decide whether they give the approval or not. And if they give the approval, they give you conditions on how you're going to demonstrate. That in itself will bring constitutional issues, because you might decide to tell me that I want you to demonstrate in a certain way that I do not want, and maybe that suits your agenda.
Further, the bill seeks to have among the requirements of police a date and location of the protests, the person who will be leading and controlling the demonstrations, further levying the liabilities incurred from damage of properties in the demos to the organizers.
We've had a scenario where there have been hired goons. So if these goons show up, they touch something and they steal or they do whatever they do or cause mayhem. So you want to say liability will be on this person who ordinarily sought to just have a peaceful demonstration and air their issues or present a petition. So they are saying in essence that even if you provide proof that you told people not to do anything wrong and something wrong happened, that in itself cannot be used as sufficient proof that you, as a person or organization, took reasonable steps to prevent the act in question.
However, the bill contrasts the freedom rights as stipulated in Article 37 of the Constitution.
The regulation officer will then can prevent you holding an assembly. That means, again, they go against the Constitution, because when they say that they will prevent you from holding an assembly, that is Section 7, Section 8, because of imminent danger. What is imminent danger? And who says it's imminent danger? Sometimes the police, as we've seen, are overzealous and they go beyond the scope of what they're supposed to do to maintain law and order.
The reading of the bill comes on the heels of a heightened tension on tomorrow's demos, dubbed Nane Nane, set to put pressure on government to account and force the exit of the current regime. Bentura Kwamboka, K24, Nairobi.
We shift our focus now to matters of education. Teachers are set to begin their nationwide industrial action from 26th of August, a move that will paralyze third-term learning. Issuing a 7-day notice to Teacher Service Commission, the two unions, Kenya National Union of Teachers NAT and Kenya Union of Post-Primary Teachers KUPPET, put aside their disagreements to fight for the rights of teachers. They have made 6 demands that need to be addressed, including the confirmation of JSS teachers and hiring of all intern teachers, promotion of 130,000 teachers, non-remittance of loans and NSSF deductions, and implementing the 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement. Harry Chimea reports.
Solidarity forever. For the second time after a long time, two unions, the Kenya National Union of Teachers NAT and Kenya Union of Post-Primary Teachers KUPPET, put aside their disagreements to fight for the rights of teachers. Come August 26th, before the reopening of schools for third term, teachers have vowed to commence a nationwide strike until their issues are addressed.
Siku saba to address each of these to the satisfaction of our members, failure to which we shall set in motion plans for a nationwide strike starting Monday, 26th of August.
Parents and stakeholders should get ready that we are not going to allow our teachers to go back to school in third term.
They have demanded the implementation of the 13.5 billion shillings second phase of the 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement CBA that was to take effect in July this year. The CBA would have seen an increase in salaries, with the unions demanding that the emoluments for July be remitted immediately.
Remit the teachers' emoluments for July 2024, including basic salaries and allowances, as provided under the agreement.
They also want all intern teachers to be employed under permanent and pensionable terms, with 20,000 more teachers hired, as well as the confirmation of 46,000 JSS teachers.
You remember about the 36,000 that was promoted. The rest of the 130,000 who have stagnated this long should be promoted.
They also claim that TSC has been deducting an NSSF on teachers' salaries without remitting the same to the third-party agents, including commercial banks.
Through these acts of omission, teachers are exposed to non-compliance sanctions and a pecuniary embarrassment due to default of the obligations of the TSC.
They have also called for a commitment on a new CBA to address, among other issues, their risk allowances. And in regards to the inaccessibility of healthcare services following the 11 billion shillings budget cut.
We have been told that there is a cut in the medical cover by 50%. And secondly, the group life cover is lost. We don't know where it has gone because teachers used to enjoy group life cover. So this one here is not funded.
It's a now wait-and-see situation if the unions will make good on their threat at a time when the country is facing budget cuts. For the union makes us strong. Harriet Chimea, K24. Power.
With our story by Harriet Chimea, we take a short commercial break. When we come back, I'll be letting you know about the new university funding model, JITAS, and as well the new look currency, but as well time for the newspaper review. We'll just be highlighting what's in our dailies this morning on the Nane March Day. We take a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.